Hello everybody. Once again I would like to say I am excited and happy to be recording this video. My name is Abdallah Zirava. I am a scholar, a researcher and an academician. I would like to talk about the scholarly writing, but particularly writing a good thesis statement is what I am going to discuss today. There are so many aspects of writing. There is what we call technical writing, which is basically writing for the others to be able, writing for a certain audience, a specific audience that is interested to follow up on a certain understanding and instruction of an object or a product. It is mainly done by technical people in their specific professions, and every professional or every profession has its own way of writing, and that's technical writing. But today that's not what I want to look at. I want to focus my talk on this video on scholarly writing, which is more academic, and writing of academic essays, which requires writing your assignments and writing so much to do with your work that you are given by your professors in the classes, wherever you are. I would like to start by discussing or asking this question: what is a thesis statement? A thesis statement is just a sentence. This sentence summarizes your idea, your main idea as to why you're writing your paper, your thesis, or your research essay. So in that statement, you must make a claim. There must be an argument or a claim that you are making, and you will be directly answering your question, and in this case, the research question. So the scholars have debated on the positioning of this statement. There are those that say the placement of a thesis statement can be at the beginning of your essay. Maybe your first paragraph of your writing, of your write-up, must have this thesis statement clearly stated. And there are other scholars that argue that this can come at the end of your write-up. Those that argue that comes at the beginning, those that are using the deductive approach, and the inductive approach, they claim and argue, scholars that follow that approach claim and argue that it can be at the end of the write-up or your paper or your thesis. Whatever the aspect, because there are those that say you start with it, you show it clearly at the beginning, emphasize it in the middle of your writing, and then as you conclude, you restate it. So whatever aspect we belong to, we must understand that the thesis statement is just to create a claim, an argument answering your question. It's just a sentence that expresses your main idea of your research paper. So that means that even if you see the thesis statement either at the middle or at the beginning or at the end, what is just important that it has specific aspects that are summarizing about what you want to say or to write about in your paper. And these specifics or summarized points are supported by evidence, specific evidence. So a thesis statement is just specific. Once you generalize, it is not a thesis statement again. So I'd like to take you through the tips for writing a thesis statement. The first one is that you state the problem from a global perspective. I'll show the example. And the second one, the second tip is that you can do that in a sentence. We shall see the example. And then the second tip is that you show the statistics and narratives that justify that there is a problem. That is in a sentence. And then the third tip, you state the negative consequences of that problem, of course with justifications and evidence. So the other tip there, you now state the previous efforts or studies that are aimed at solving the particular problem that you are trying to solve in 1 or 2, 3 sentences. And then finally, you state that in spite of the efforts aimed at solving the problem in the previous 3 sentences you have written, the problem either still persists or we do not have a better understanding of the problem, or there is lack of a theoretical underpinning of the problem or the issue, or there could be a culture or situational dynamics that are known, etc. And that is your gap. That is exactly your gap. Because you want to say, because you must be able to answer this question. If other previous scholars and their previous studies, they have taken efforts to solve the problem, then why are you bothering? Why are you going ahead to investigate the problem? So that's why you have to state it clearly that despite their efforts, there is still a problem, or there is no better understanding of the problem, or there could be a theoretical and lack of theoretical underpinning, which is a theoretical gap, or there could be that the culture and situational dynamics are not known. Then another tip, you state what you want to do in order to help to reduce the problem. So this is where we say it's your thesis statement. So you state what you want to do in order to help reduce the problem. And here you can do this by identifying and adopting a scholarly perspective to investigate the problem. In this I mean that every scholar, every researcher have their own scholarly underpinnings and the paradigms that they follow or they belong to. And that that scholarly perspective is what you use to explain how you are going to tackle the problem or to reduce the problem. So this part is the one that is most important and critical in the aspect of scholarly writing. If you can write it, then you are good to go. I will come in another video to explain clearly about scholarly perspectives, scholarly paradigms, and how we can use them to explain phenomena, to explain our understanding of social problems and their phenomena. So it takes us into this, which gives us a clear direction. You state the problem from a global perspective. Please don't solve local problem. You show the statistics and the narratives to justify that problem. You state the consequences of that problem with justifications. You show previous efforts and studies, and you cite this very well in your work. And then you show that in spite of all that, the problem is still persisting. And finally, you clearly show your direction, what you want to do, how do you want to handle this, tackle this problem, which scholarly perspective do you belong to that you will use to investigate the problem. Now this is the example. Let me hope we can go through this example very fast. So I said state the problem from a global perspective. You see here we have domestic violence is a global problem that crosses cultural, geographical, religious, and social and economic boundaries. and it's a violation of human rights. Then you cite here, Avenue Health 2020. So you see that you have stated clearly that there is a problem, that is domestic violence, and you are showing how it is an issue cutting across all the dimensions. Then you show the statistics and narratives to justify that there is a problem. So you can say it is estimated that over 45 million in intimate domestic violence will occur in 2020 or 2021 in an average lockdown during the 9 months. Or you show that over 40 million intimate domestic violence occurred in the previous year in an average of a lockdown of just 9 months. So and then you say domestic violence has social, psychological, and economic consequences. And you cite, and this may result into morbidity and mortality, then you cite. So you have to show one from narratives from scholarly literature and also statistics from maybe reports that are documented about that particular problem. But you have to be clear on your sources and you cite them. Then finally here you state the negative consequences of the problem. You show that domestic violence has social, psychological, and economic consequences. Of course you cite, and then you say that it may result into morbidity and mortality, and you cite, and you show other consequences that are likely to come up as a result of this problem. Then in the narrative, you state the efforts and the write-ups of previous studies aimed at solving this problem. You said you do this in 1 or 2, 3 sentences. So you say, while there are many studies that are undertaken to reduce this problem of domestic violence, you cite and state the studies. This problem is still evident, and you try to show why it is still evident. You try to show why it still persists. Could it be that there is lack of a proper theoretical underpinning, or could it be that it is not tackled in a proper context? And all that gives you the gap to continue explaining whatever you want to explain. So you now state that in spite of the efforts aimed at solving the problem still persists, or there is no better understanding of the problem, or there is lack of a theoretical underpinning of this problem, or it is not in the proper culture, it is not understood in the proper culture setting and context, or there are other situational dynamics that needs to be checked out. So there is this example there that I was trying to say, to show you about domestic violence. And to end this, finally, you state what you want to do in order to help reduce the problem. And here you can do this by identifying and understanding a scholarly perspective to investigate the problem. I said I'll come back and talk more in another video about scholarly perspectives, scholarly paradigms, and theoretical underpinnings, and how this is used by researchers and scholars to understand social problems and investigate them in that way. So this part, we said, is one of the most important and critical aspects of scholarly writing. So you can say, in order to reduce the problem of domestic violence, there is the need to uncover the nature of domestic violence in the context and situations of Africa from a holistic theoretical perspective. Thank you so much. I remain Abdallah. I want to thank you so much, and that's the final write-up. And then I know that in preceding videos or in other videos we'll be explaining, coming up videos will be explaining so much about this. I would like you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also ensure that you click the notification button to always get a notification every time I do a video similar to this. Thank you so much. Have a great night, and bye-bye.